What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I have been cooking up some extra spice. So by now you should have seen the darkworld Horus profile, you should have seen the red dragon archfiend profile, so I am about to bring you a Resonator darkworld Horus profile that allows you to utilize synchro monsters in the deck. So you can see the development of playing Darkworld Horus, Red Dragon Horus, and then putting a bit of both together to give you this concoction. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. So I'm going to dive headfirst into the profile, show you what we've got, explain why we've got it, and how it can be utilized. So we'll start off with the Resonators themselves. The most important one is Vision Resonator for this deck because it doesn't lock you into anything when you use either of its effects. So for those of you unfamiliar with the Vision Resonator, if a level 5 or higher dark monster is on the field, you get to special summon this card from the hand. You can only special summon Vision Resonator once per turn this way, and if this card is sent to the graveyard by any means, you get to add a spell or trap that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from the deck to the hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now why is that important? Well, off of the Horus monsters, you've got Imseti, which is a dark level 8, and then of course when you look into the dark worlds, we are playing one Luciant. You also end up having Danger Nessie that can count, and then of course Rainbow, Grepher, when I find him, there we go, alongside Silver and Gold. So you have so many different ways that you can trigger off the Vision Resonator to get it to the board, and then when you synchro it off, what do you go for? Well, in this particular build, the options you can go for are either Crimson Gaia, which can lead you into a second copy, and the way that this can work quite nicely is if you send Vision Resonator off of the back of a Darkworld or send it off of the back of a Imseti, you search out Crimson Gaia can then search you out another Vision Resonator that can then be summoned to the board in order to give you that ability to synchro. And I've already shown you the different levels, but the synchros we are going to be utilizing is synchro level 8s or synchro level 10s, mainly in the form of Baron de Fleur. If you've already special summoned Vision Resonator this turn, then the other card you can go for is Synchron Resonator. The reason this is so important is because 9 times out of 10, when you've got the Vision Resonator off the board, you would have used it for a Synchro summon. So a Synchro monster will be on the field, which allows you to special summon down the Synchron Resonator for free, and you can use it as link fodder. You can only special summon it once per turn this way, but again, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target a Resonator monster in the graveyard, accept itself, and add it to the hand. So it allows you to recur the resource of Vision Resonator back from the graveyard, which is absolutely insane. So already you can see that the Resonators themselves are just providing you with full, all-out ability to recur from the graveyard, alongside, of course, the Horus monsters. The last card that you can search, and if you wanted to, you can cut it out completely, but I quite liked having the option to either search out a way to get to an extender or a way to control the board. So the one you can go for is Red Screen. So Red Screen outright just says your opponent's monsters cannot declare an attack. Great, it protects everything, your Dark Worlds, it protects your SP Little Knights, any of your weaker monsters. It's very difficult for your opponent to deal with. During each of your end phases, you must pay 1,000 life points. It is not optional, or this card is destroyed. You can target one level 1 tuner monster in your graveyard, which in this case would be Synchron Resonator, and you can destroy this card, and if you do, special summon that target. Red Dragon Archfiend must be on the field to activate and resolve this effect, resolving and meaning the destruction to bring back the Synchron Resonator. You can still activate it to become basically a full-on, not really a summon limit, but just a battle limit. It doesn't let your opponent attack at all. So it gives you the ability, like I said, extender, as well as the ability of blocker. And then we are playing Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend and Red Dragon Archfiend in the extra deck, so you can get the additional effects off of the back of the Crimson Gaia as well, which is near invaluable. Then when we talk about the Darkworld monsters before we move on to the dangers and everything else, we are going with pretty much the standard lineup of triple Rainbow when I find the third copy. So 3 Rainbow, followed up by 2 Grepher, standard on that one as well. So just opening up one of these, or the way to get one of these to the board, and the Vision Resonator gives you instant access to a Baron, which is mental. Triple Genta, pretty standard on that one, and Triple Snow, alongside the 1 Silver, 1 Gold, and 1 Cerulei. The new addition I've added back into the deck for this particular version, and if you really want to, you can cut gold or silver. Again, just when I'm playing Dark Worlds, I quite like the option of popping cards as well as hand loop, but you can play the Lucian. And the reason Lucian's a little bit more important for this one than these guys is because level 8 synchros, in my opinion, are a lot better. On top of that as well, when you're making level 8 synchros, you also give yourself another level 8 monster to make your synchro level 8 plays. So Lucian is great at being that level 6. It can also special summon fiends to either side of the field if it's discarded via your opponent's card effect. But just in general, I think it's a really, really good option for the deck. And it can get a little bit too much by playing all 3 of these, so you might want to cut one down if you want to. More times than not, I guarantee people will probably get rid of gold. Personally, just through playing it, it just works a lot more for me, which is why I've kept it in. For the dangers, 2 Nessie, 1 Mothman, 1 Jackalope. Sorry, not 1 Mothman. 2 Mothman, 1 Jackalope, and then 1 Salamander Catalyzer. Now again, with this particular lineup, you'll see that I've taken Bigfoot out. You can put Bigfoot back in, but I just kind of felt that it had the less utility going first. Yes, it's great to get that level 8 on the board because a Bigfoot plus a Vision Resonator can get you instantly into a Baron. But what could also be quite helpful, if I'm going second, is being able to go into Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend, and then if I am able to get another Vision Resonator to the board, maybe I've specialed it off of Zombie Vampire, I could synchro it up into a Baron, and that would then allow me to special summon Red Dragon Archfiend. Now, of course, you don't have to do that. It just gives you that ability, and if it is used as synchro material for a Dark Dragon, you can also destroy all attack position monsters your opponent controls. But regardless of how it is, as long as this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, you'll get Red Dragon Archfiend. So whether you link it off or anything else, as long as it leaves the field to the graveyard, you'll be able to get that. And then, of course, for the Horus monsters, triple Inseti, 1 Guidance and 1 Blessing, and then 1 King Sark. Now, I still feel that you need to be playing Guidance and Blessing. I wouldn't cut Inseti down just because it synergizes so well with the Vision Resonator. This is probably your most ideal one. Like, opening up Inseti plus Vision Resonator is straight away an instant access to a Baron, because you would go Inseti, send Vision Resonator, resolve, get King Sark, draw a card, Vision Resonator effect, search you out the spell card, activate the spell card, search you out Vision Resonator, bring back Inseti, special summon down Vision Resonator, sink into a Baron. So it doesn't really solve the problem of dealing with D-Shifter and dealing with Droll, but that's just any deck will near enough struggle, if not lose, to those particular cards. It will get a little bit more difficult when we get the Fire King structure decks, for the pure fact that the Fire King structure deck is going to give access to Droll to pretty much everybody, so you do need to be a little bit more wary. But even then, your opponent needs to be playing Droll or Shifter, and keep in mind they can't Droll you under Shifter, so you're only ever going to face one or the other. And more times than not, they still need to see Droll or Shifter. Like, if they don't see it, you can still just run rampant anyway. So don't be like, oh, I'm not going to play this because Droll's in the format. You'll just be like, okay, I'm going to play this, but I need to be aware of Droll. And then for the generic spells for the Dark Worlds, obviously a Session, Archives, 2 Gates, and then your Tactics, alongside with the options you can get off of the Tactics being Trading, Corridor, and Talents. Now, obviously, because I'm not playing Ken and Gen, the Tactics is a little bit less effective. But again, I still really like the idea of playing it in the deck for the pure fact of being able to get to, just being able to get to any of the cards. It gives me a great option for going second as well. I've also will be putting Card Destruction in here. I've just obviously misplaced it for now, but Card Destruction would be the last card that I would add into it as well. So Card Destruction, when I can lock it down, don't know where that's disappeared to. So that'll pretty much give you everything you need to. It is a 43 card main deck. I'm trying to find ways of cutting it down even further, but it is a little bit tricky, trying to minimize everything you need to. As you can see, that I've kind of minimized the Horus engine, the Danger engine, and of course the Vision Resonator engine. They're all 6 cards each, which is taking up near enough half of the deck, but then the rest of the deck can become or is Dark Worlds. So you're still maintaining the essence of Dark Worlds, or the core of the deck being a Dark World-esque deck, but then everything else is supporting engines that can help get it into other options. So moving on to the extra deck, I'll just go over the staple cards that are pretty much in the Dark World play anyway. So 2 Greffers, and then of course you've got your Daguerres, and then obviously we've got the Casting Magician, IP Masquerina, Muckraker, Saruja, Coach King Giant Trainer, and of course the Zombie Vampire, followed up by the Starslayer Typhoon and SP Little Knight. Now, I did have to make some sacrifices in the deck in order to get the remaining 4 Synchro monsters in, and I'll show you what they were at the end. So Baron de Fleur, of course, pretty straightforward, no-brainer. That's the main one you want to go for. And then, of course, we still have the option to play Hot Red, because let's say you've already opened up Vision Resonator. Then what you do is you Vision Resonator plus any level 6 monster, so Lucian. That will then get you into Scarred. Your Vision Resonator searches you out the spell searches you out your Synchron Resonator, you special summon down your Synchron Resonator, and then what that gives you the ability to do is you can upgrade your Scarred Red Dragon Archfiend into your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, trigger Scarred's effect. Scarred would then summon you a Red Dragon Archfiend, which is now a level 8 monster that can be used for XYZ plays if you want it to. And then your Synchron Resonator will recycle the Vision Resonator, so you have a follow-up for the next turn, so that if Red Dragon Archfiend survives the turn, you can then Synchro upgrade it and go into a Baron if you want to. So the 3 cards that were sacrificed to find the space for this is Bestial Dispatter. I couldn't always guarantee that I would have that non-tuner Dragon monster to make it as consistent as Baron, because when you're looking at the level 8 monsters we're using Fiends in the form of the Dark Worlds, and then we're using different monsters in the form of the Horus monsters. So there was no way of guaranteeing that I would always have a Dragon on the board to consistently and legally make the Bestial Dispatter, which is why I haven't main decked it. But of course, in the example that I just explained to you, you will have Scarred on the board. The issue is, with Scarred on the board, it's very, very rare of having a Vision Resonator to add to it, because you would have already specialed the Vision Resonator to make it. So you would need to normal summon the Vision Resonator, which you can do in this deck, because as you saw, we are not playing Ken and Gen, so you don't actually have a normal summon engine, so you do have that ability to do so. On top of that as well, also remember that the best thing about the Vision Resonators, or the Vision Resonator and Synchron Resonator, is they are fiends. So you can actually summon them off of the back of the Salamander Catalyzer. So you've got more ways of getting to it, but it's just very rare to happen. The other 2 that I ended up cutting was a Baguska, purely because Baguska is one of the ones where if your local environment is main decking Drolls and stun cards like Shifter, and you need to make Baguska to play through turn 1, then you'll put it back in. More times than not, Shifters are possibly in the side deck unless you are in a rogue format where people are playing stuff like Exo Sisters and Flunderies and everything else. So this will be optional depending on your local environment. And then the last one was Cross Sheep, just because it was technically like a win more card to give you that extender, to extend that a little bit further when it's pointing to a fusion. You can also get the additional effect when it's pointing to a Synchro, but again, it would come up less frequently and less consistently. So that's pretty much it for the profile and the extra deck. The extra deck was probably the most challenging part, was kind of justifying all of its uses. But when I was looking at all the Link monsters, just because of the way the Horus monsters work, you go through Skull Dread a lot more, which is why I meant like this has to stay in there. 2 Greffers comes up more times than not, so it has to stay in there. SP is so important. If you don't have access to SP, it will make it a little bit easier for you. Same with the Typhoon as well. If you don't have access to it, it's a little bit easier to justify taking them out, even though if you have them, I personally feel they are the better cards. The Daguerreas and the Muckracker, just for the abilities of being able to trigger your Dark World discard effects, again, to me, are pretty much invaluable. You have to play them. So, with all of that out of the way, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas on your own build. Again, a massive shout out to Undead Gaming, who introduced me to the idea of the Red Dragon Archfiend Horus build. And then, of course, from that point on, it was just a matter of time before I was able to hybrid my 2 favourite decks right now. Even though it's minimalistic Red Dragon Archfiend involvement, it's still a Red Dragon Archfiend involvement, and it is a really kind of cool concept. I like the idea behind it. I like the fact that the Vision Resonators give the deck more consistent ways of refilling the hand advantage, while also extending to the board and providing you with a nice little bit of a control option. Should you get stopped, but you've been able to resolve your Vision plays, it can be really, really kind of cool in order to get you to your end build should you want it. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe and of course, happy dueling.